Bad idea. Abort.
Okay.
Now?
Oh, hey, Alice. Welcome to the book club. It's always good to see your bright, shining face. You find us among friends. Tonight we have Devon Arnold next to me. We got Hiatt Collins, another familiar face. And as always, we got Neif with us, the March Hare as well. How you guys doing?
Great.
Pretty groovy.
So Alice, today we're talking about Art of War by Sun Tzu, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, somewhere 500 BC. I want to start by telling you a little story about Sun Tzu. Now, this comes from a historian that was talking about Sun Tzu like 500 years after he died, something like that. So we don't really know what to believe and what not to believe. But the way the story goes is the emperor called Sun Tzu because he had heard of his wisdom. And he's like, I want you to apply your war philosophy. I want you to give me an example of it. Like, don't let me take your word for it. Show me that what you're saying works. So Sun Tzu is brought to the emperor and he says, okay, bring me your concubines and I will make them into a perfect unit. They will travel over broken glass through fire and lay down their lives for you if that's what you ask of them. And he's like, okay. So he takes the concubines and splits them into 2 units, and then has the each unit has a leader, one of the favorites of the emperor. And he starts giving them simple orders like turn left, turn right, turn around, face forward. And each of these orders are a different like hand position. And he's just teaching them what the hand movements are. So he starts giving these orders of turn left, turn right. And some of the women just start laughing at him. And so he immediately stops and has the 2 leaders of the groups put on their knees to be executed. And the emperor sees this and calls it off. He says, okay, you made your point. Stop. And Sun Tzu's reply to the emperor is, sometimes as a general, I can't follow orders given if they're not in concordance with the rules of the art of war. And so he has both of them decapitated anyway. So the emperor then has many conversations with Sun Tzu after that. And he becomes a general and advisor for him. Hey, look, it's a puppy. That's a cute puppy. I wonder what he has to say about Art of War.
The Zoom all by
The
himself.
war between him and the squirrels is extreme and intense.
I can tell. That's the face of a killer.
Squirrel! Zero phase. See, I mean, like at that point right now, he's just having a Vietnam flashback. It's trauma response.
That little side look he's giving us right there. He'll look like he's ready to play. Yeah, that's a cold side look right there.
No, at this point, he's completely just like done with it. No, moving on. Where did I leave that squeaky toy? Where's my biscuits?
It's like, y'all quit yapping. Let's get to the book.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a story.
Hey, what are you doing?
What's up?
What is this? Who is she talking? Who are you talking to?
What's up?
Sorry, we were just talking war tactics with your dog.
Did she call you?
I think, yeah. I let her in though. She was scratching at the door, so I let her in.
What's up?
What's up?
Happens.
We were just talking about Sun Tzu. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
We basically, we haven't even gotten to the art of war itself. We were just talking about some of the lore surrounding Sun Tzu.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff we don't really. History on him is really weird because we don't know what to believe. Like a lot of our accounts are from historians like 500 years after he died, and so we kind of just have to take people's word for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I know a lot of people, or there's like a debate of like, oh, did he even exist? But I mean, there's documentation of his existence. It's just kind of all over the place, it seems like. Because that was something I looked into at one point, because it was like, did he actually write this book? Like people were asking, it was like, did he even exist? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
That's what I was finding too, is there are accounts of him existing, but like some of them conflict with each other. And it's just hard to tell who to trust, I guess. But yeah, as for the art of war itself, people talk about how you can apply it to business, to sports, to like different competition, to different areas of life. And that's definitely true. And it's crazy how much information carries over into the future. Like you showed me one earlier. Do you still have that one bookmarked? It was the one on
many.
The one on fire you were showing me.
Yeah, you were. Okay, so I've had a few conversations about the book thus far. And some people are like, it's just a tutorial on how to engage in warfare. It's just like at some point this conversation is going to devolve into, well, I could karate chop you this way and then it block it. And then I'm going to punch this way and just, and I'm like, no, this is not really about, if all you're seeing is the tactics and maneuvers, I think you're missing the point. Like there's a proverb at the bottom of it that matters more than the tactical weight, or at least maybe that's what I took, or I'm just giving this like too much biblical importance.
But do you remember where that one was? Because you had a quote in there that was good.
Fire.
yeah, it's like, if anything, what can be taken from this book is like that it's more ideal to be less violent, just be more strategic about how you go about getting involved with violence.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that?
Work smarter, not harder.
That was in Spies, right? Be subtle, and always use intelligence to your advantage, or something about Spies. Hold on. Of course, that one goes away. But
No, it has been a while since I've read this, but I kind of touched up on it a little before. I was like, I definitely want to do this book club.
Oh yeah, this one's fun. I'm so glad you're here. Like it's weird
It
one.
worked out.
Yeah. It's not like Lord of the Rings, like we could have a really long discussion about something like that too, but this is just a very different kind of discussion. Like there is like so much practicality in something like this. Like we did The Prince by Machiavelli, and that's very much in this vein. Like that's something I was thinking about, is how much crossover there was. It's like the same genre, I guess. But there's one, if I can find it.
Who all is here? I know you two, and then I see a ceiling. There we are.
Melody up here, we have Neif. He produces the podcast. Yeah, and a badass producer in his own right, and
Well,
music
thank you.
producer. And we have Hiatt Collins from Cassette Stress, and you know Devon.
Yeah. What up?
How
How's
is
it
you?
going?
And I'm Melody. So
Yeah.
it's
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you guys.
Hello.
Yeah, Alice, you remember Melody from Paranova from when we did the podcast a few weeks ago?
Paranova. Whoa.
Like
Like
it?
I found it. I loved it. Holy cow.
Awesome. Thank you.
I had no idea that was just sitting like I need to come hang.
Yeah.
Yeah. no, I've
That's
been
where I
missing out.
was supposed to be tonight. We're recording vocals for our second single, but that got canceled. So I was like, I can make book club now.
Sweet.
Yay.
Vocals are delayed again, but that's okay. We'll get it done.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Just stay the course.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this is a part I really like. It's in, what chapter is this? It's in chapter 6. And
Yeah, I
it's
know.
number 9.
Right.
It's number 7 and 9. In order to make your defense quite safe, you must defend even those places that are not likely to be attacked. How much more then those that will be attacked? And then here he says, this is in poetry, really. And he doesn't get this poetic a lot of the time. But he says, "Oh, divine art of subtlety and secrecy, through you, we learn to be invisible, through you, inaudible." And then the literal translation is, "Through you, we become without form or sound." So I bet a lot of the poetry is actually in the translation, but
Yeah, that's what's kind of difficult about books like this is like, you don't know, it's not coming across exactly how it was said or whatever. And there's a lot of room for interpretation on top of that. But, and it's cool though, because you can sit on top of just, read one little quote like that, and you've got so much to think about and like apply it to. It's not like a book that you just sit and like read through it like a book. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
yeah.
I got kind of off topic with what I originally was saying, but
No, yeah, it's something that, like, I think I have a commentary version, which is a few hundred pages, but I think the base version is only like 60 pages, something like that. It's very short.
Yeah,
And
it's
like
not really long.
yeah, and it's like you're saying, Melody, where it's like it's really short, but like it could take you a lifetime to like really get through it. I think you can like read it, just breeze through it real quick, but I don't know, it's almost like a religious text in the way that there's so much in each sentence that you kind of have to break it down like that.
I think it's so practical on the surface that it can be readily applied to battle just on the surface of how it is. But like you're saying, there is a poetry behind it. Like in that statement itself, he breaks into the idea of stealth in the formless form, because that's what the idea of defending the defenseless, the not expected areas are. You don't want the enemy to know which areas are defendable or more defended. So you don't want the enemy to make that you don't want the enemy deciding that.
Yeah.
So therefore that's what it's he's kind of breaking down his own practicality after he says it.
Yeah, kind of explains it better.
It's almost like you take it in and then you kind of got to throw it back out a little bit and say, well, you're setting up defense how he says, but then you're also taking into account that you don't need the enemy to even know anything about that. You don't need the enemy to know what is the unexpected areas. So setting up defense in the unexpected areas isn't really even applicable as a a statement, because the enemy shouldn't know that anyway.
Hmm.
So they're all unexpected areas.
And that leads me to chapter 1:18, verse 18.
Turn your pages to chapter 1,
Yeah.
verse.
Everyone turn your
So much
Bibles.
trauma.
Uh,
Like, no more church.
we're giving Devon PTSD.
Turn in your
kidding.
war guides.
But yeah, chapter 1:18 says, all warfare is deception, which is, you brought us here, Neif. And then 19, he elaborates, when able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. And he goes on and on here about how and why to deceive in battle. But those are kind of examples. But basically, he's saying everything in warfare is a lie. You lie about your position. You lie about feigning weakness when you're strong, feigning strength when you're weak. Yeah. I just thought that was interesting because I read all warfare is deception, and I thought about it. I'm like, is that absolute? Is there really no exception to that? And I thought about it some more, and I'm like, no, he's right. It all is deception.
Yeah. Like, you don't want the opposite side to know any information about anything at any time unless it's the incorrect information.
Yeah.
So it's kind of about playing that game about, I lost the video.
You don't have video?
Can y'all still see me?
Yeah. We can see and hear you.
I wonder what I did.
Uh-oh.
I think I went to go look at some. Oh, there it is. Okay, I fixed it.
But yeah, everything is a lie in war.
Well, another part of that is also goes into your own side and your own troops, because there's very much a deception within your own ranks. As the leaders and the generals must deceive the men, or all the warriors, and into believing that they're always on the winning side. They're always on the righteous side. That you have to keep morale high.
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to intelligence, everything is a need to know basis. And if it's got to be protected, it's got to be counter with deception. Like you're saying, you want the enemy to know things. You want them to know wrong things. You don't want them to not know anything.
My favorite part about that was where he was talking about the excuse me, where he comes in and says, you will have to defy authority for the sake of your troops because they matter more. Like, that is the art of war. Like, you will keep the morale of the troops because this is the wrong call. Make the right call. Make that judgment call. I love that. Just that.
That was really interesting. I like that a lot too, where he was talking about if a sovereign tells you to do something that is going to result in the destruction of the army, just to ignore that and just do what makes sense, because there's the higher calling of being a warrior in the best sense.
And you guys make a really interesting point. Like, it seems like honor is not as prevalent in our culture today. And it's like,
there was a lot of honor in their warfare. Here. They always said, don't press a desperate army too far. Leave them a route to escape. Like, when they're done, let them go. Let them go. Let them go.
And that's wise on multiple levels, right? It's wise on the moral sense, but also you don't want to push any wild animal into a corner. You want to give it a way out, because that's when it's going to fight the hardest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A desperate animal at its pushed to its brink will fight.
He actually says that anyone without a route home has no hope, so they will fight to the death. If they know there's an escape, they're not going to fight to the death.
Yeah.
The other side of that is the morale of your own troops can suffer, because while they feel like great warriors, if they are battering down running people, cowering victims, it's going to affect them. They're going to start second guessing whether or not they're right. It's going to there's so many intricacies that he gets into without even really getting into them. He just,
And yeah, kind of a modern comparison would be like, not that long ago, like Afghanistan is like, okay, we need to go in. Sorry, Alice, it's tinfoil hat time. We need to go in and take their oil, but we need people to fight for this without feeling like they're pieces of shit. So let's give them a really good reason to be angry.
Yeah.
And that's the art of war. That's deception. It's there was actually, let me see if I can find it.
Well, it's not the first time any of them have used those kind of tactics. They'll continue to use those exact tactics. They do them across the powers that be, do them across all the board, whether it's this country, across the country, other places. They're going to absolutely deceive the people to gather the morale, to go support the cause, to go take the thing that's not theirs in the first place.
Just remember what the Dormouse said, Alice. Feed your head. Back to all warfare is deception. It gives an example here. One of the commentators in the version I've got. It's talking about Colonel Henderson tells us that Wellington, great in so many military qualities, was especially distinguished by the extraordinary skill with which he concealed his movements and deceived both friends and foe. So there was no chance of anyone knowing the truth of his motives. Basically, he didn't trust anybody. And because of that, his armies that were never revealed to the enemy. Sun Tzu gets into this later when I'm trying to find the exact quote, but the gist of it is, know who it is you're getting into bed with. Like,
I like that as like like if that were an actual quote.
Yeah, he said it just like that.
It's like one of those memes.
Yeah.
And it's got him standing there. It's a picture, and it says, "No, you're getting into bed." Actually, I did see a meme that was really funny like that, and it said, "Never trust Comcast internet. Probably Sun Tzu."
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that sounds accurate.
Yeah. I found the part. Unfortunately, it's not him saying know who you're getting into bed with. It's chapter 7, verse 12. He says, "We cannot enter into alliances until we are acquainted with the designs of our neighbors." So unless you know what your allies' intentions are, you shouldn't be allies with them. And I think,
So Sun Tzu, be careful who you're getting in bed with.
yeah, pretty much. I like that as a translation.
Yeah,
I like that as someone going, okay, this is what this means in English.
Yeah, there should be
that's
like
to
an
1970
Alex
1990
translation of
circle.
this book.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to translate my own version of the Art of War.
Please don't.
It's like purposefully wrong. Incorrect.
I want to
Alright,
pick out a quote. I'm going to pick out a random quote, and then you turn it into
Ooh,
an Alex version.
that sounds fun.
Oh,
I'm going to
That
pick
sounds
a
fun.
random quote. All right. This is chapter 5. Okay, wait. Let's do this. All right. Disorder arises from order. Cowardice arises from courage. Weakness arises from strength.
I feel like I know what that means, but I'm trying to make it a joke. How do I make that a joke? Let's do you can't be scared until you're brave, and you can't be smart until you've been stupid. Which just I'm trying to make it a joke, and I'm sorry, Melody, I can't. It actually just reminds me of
That is
Tarot.
kind of difficult.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it reminds me of is that there. It reminds me of tarot with the Fool. It's like the Fool is one of the most powerful arcana because it has full potential. It's like a baby. A baby it can do anything it wants because it hasn't made decisions in it. And it's like in order to run, you got to walk. I guess that's my translation. In order to run, you got to walk.
Yeah.
All right, same game.
Okay.
Same game. Unhappy is the fate of the one who tries to win his battles and succeed in his attacks without cultivating the spirit of enterprise, for the result is nothing more than a waste of time and in general stagnation.
Less want equals more get.
Oh, that actually works. I shouldn't have read that one to you.
More
earlier.
want equals less get.
Now it's getting like caveman translation.
Yeah.
Want more get.
Two stick make fire.
That's your first ad right there.
Yeah.
It'll work.
I can't find the part exactly, but there is a Sun Tzu talks about how it's better to consume your enemy's supplies rather than consume your own, like something like 40 times as much.
There's like a pound of enemy food is worth like 20 of your own, or there's a lot of translations on the number, but it's basically, you know, taking somebody else's stuff is way better than having your own stuff, especially when it's your enemy.
Yep.
It should work that much more, which just, I mean, it's one of those things that just makes a whole lot of sense on the surface, and you can dive down that. It's applicable on so many levels.
Yeah.
Like saying that thievery is good. What?
Well, like in addition to feeding your own people and having extra, you've also weakened the other people by taking their food, so they don't have as much food to get strong.
And you saved your resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to someone recently. Actually, it was Austin from Honey Dagger. Shout out to Honey Dagger. But I was talking to Austin about this book, and he'd never read it, and he was just asking me about it. And he was asking me when this was period relation to Taoism. And I didn't know the answer, but he was just telling me he found it odd that it's so violent because Taoism is like the opposite. And something I've come to understand reading this is Sun Tzu war is not a philosophy of life. The art of war is a philosophy of war. So he's not telling you, there's actually no moral discussion really in here. He's saying, if you've already decided you're going to war, this is how you do it.
This isn't saying go start wars, you know, like be more violent. Like I think if anything, the book is promoting like, you know, more of a pacifist type of nature. Like, you know, the more like
it's about efficiency.
Your opponent by fighting less and doing less, and you know, working around the casualties and the violence, being smarter to get ahead of that rather than, you know, let's be the strongest and let's go in and kill more people type of situation, but more how to avoid that emotional side of it, of war.
Yeah.
One of the rules he says actually is that you don't siege a city. You know, you never siege a city, because if it's kind of goes back to what y'all are just saying on that last one about trying to go after something without any gain. If you're trying to conquer a city, you don't want to blow it up and kill all the people. You actually want to win that city and win the people and destroy the defense of that city against you,
Yeah.
which you see a lot nowadays in modern warfare, people failing that.
That
Able to see-
reminds me of a like it's that you don't attack your opponent, you're attacking their intention or their strategy. Like if the goal is to know what your enemy is doing and then work with that knowledge to defeat them, rather than going for the people, go for the strategy and like mess up their strategy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you're a sniper or you're using a bow and arrow and you're at a distance, you lead the target, right? It's like, or you're firing a gun, you lead the target. So you're putting the bullet where they're gonna be, not where they currently are. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. It's yeah, it's it would be much easier in a world where everything stood still, but like intentions don't stand still either. And they're in motion. He talks about how I lost it. Let me see if I can find what I was talking about.
Why are you
So
saying?
do any of y'all have like a favorite quote or something that like jumped out to you in particular as being like, this was why I came to the book. This is why I'm here for book club. This one freaking, give me the quote.
One of the quotes I didn't use it exactly, but it was inspiration for one of the lines in Anxiety the Musical. It was one of Old Man Oblivion's songs. It's probably the most common one, I think, but the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting.
That's actually what I was looking for. Thank you.
Oh, really?
Yes. So Sun Tzu talks about how the best general is not one who will be remembered because he didn't do some great battle on the field. He won the war without killing anybody. So no one's going to remember that. And that's a good thing. Because it's like
that.
It's kind of, it comes back to what you're talking about enterprise, where it's like, why did you siege that city if you're just nuked it? Like if you just nuked it off the face of the earth, what was the point? Yeah.
More along the lines of like, why else even get involved with this sort of stuff? Why even be thinking of like going into this path of destruction if there's not a chance that it's going to benefit somebody somehow? There's got to be a bigger plan than destruction, right?
And I think
because at that point, how is this a moral high ground? That's his kind of his whole thing, is that this is not about morality, because if this was about morality, that you're not in war over that. This is survival. This is, you know what I mean? Like at that point, that's when it starts getting hectic.
Yep.
That's genocide, and it's, you have to die because of this. Well, wait a minute. That's not cool.
And I think this does apply outside of war at this point, because like whether it's war, for business, for a lot of things, it's like no matter what you do in life, intention is important. Why are you doing something? And I think I guess without clear vision, you can't really manifest anything into existence. It's like, I guess like life coaches will talk about, you like gotta visualize the steps you're gonna make. And I think that's like, there's a lot of literal truth to that. Like actually seeing it in your mind's eye, like seeing you make those things can result in actualization, like it existing. And I think, that's it. Comes back to war. You can do these things. You can manifest the destruction of a civilization, but what is the intention? Why do that? And he's like, look, once you've established that, come here, but like figure out what you're doing and like, what you want.
Knowing when knowing when to fight is just as important as knowing how to fight.
Yeah,
Like, don't start a battle for no reason.
exactly.
I mean, he tells you in there, like, hey, if you're gonna lose, do this. Get the heck out of there. If you already know you're on the bad end of this, hey, don't be engaging. You got to find ways of not getting yourself annihilated. Make peace treaties. Find ways around it. Like, that's part of the art of war. One must figure out when to even engage it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a big part of this. It feels like he never wants to engage it. Hey, look at this. Oh, it's a bad layout. Don't go down the narrow pass. It's not safe. You're going to get screwed, bro. Like,
And if you do want to engage,
don't get on hemmed ground.
Yeah. And if you do want to engage in war, you're missing the point of it. You shouldn't, it should never be something you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that just struck me about the whole thing, which is I thought was really interesting, is there's very, very little in here about actually fight. Like, there's nothing about, oh, here's how you swing a sword, or, you know, how to do all these kind of, and maybe that's just below the purview of a general, but it's kind of this idea that the battle, like, once you actually have forces fighting each other, by that point, the outcome's already determined. That whether you're going to win or lose is all this preparation, and how you're, you know, training your men, and how you're keeping the horses, and how you're looking after supplies, and whether you've made good choices on, you know, the ground you're fighting on. But then it's kind of like, once that's really where the battle's won, and it's kind of, once you've thrown everybody at each other, then it's going to turn out however the preparations were laid. I just thought that was interesting, that it's very much like, you know, by the time this army clashes with another, the outcome is almost already determined by everything leading up to it.
Yeah. And he talks about how there's 5 metrics, 5 constant factors that if he knows the answers to, he can determine the outcome of the battle. Actually, this is one of the very first things in chapter 1 here. There are 5 conditions that dictate the ending to a battle. Moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, and method and discipline is 1. Moral law, he talks about, this is, the translator talks about how there's not really a good exact translation for what's trying to be said here, but it's something akin to the commander of the army being in like agreement with the troops, like there being harmony between who's giving the orders and who's taking them. Synchronous synergy. Thank you, me. Heaven is night and day, you know, elevate, or not elevation, but cold and heat, time and seasons. So physical conditions. And then earth is the same stuff. Earth is distance, terrain, open ground versus narrow passages. And then we have the commander, which this is it looks like, from what I can tell, it's about like the virtue of the commander, like his balance between courage and strictness, like balance in his commanding ability. And then the last one is method and discipline. So like, I guess that's specifically about like practical things like supply routes, and like the monitoring of supplies and rationing, things like that.
And he's saying, like, these are the baseline things. What were you saying? You said there are 5.
Yeah, these are the
things.
Yeah, he calls them the 5 constant factors. And he says if he knows the answer to all these things, he like on both sides, he can tell you who will win. And I guess I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Sun Tzu oversimplifies things, but then when I try to argue with them, I'm like, no, I guess you're right.
Yeah. I mean, why say it in a more complicated way? You don't have to.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the whole point. He had to made sure this translated.
Yeah.
This had to make sure that it was not just for the emperor's ears or those who could read. This was having to make its way down to the simple man. They all had to be on the same wavelength. They all needed to know. Guys, when I say go left, go left.
So the art of war back in the day was known as Sun Tzu's 12 or Sun Tzu's 12 chapters, something like that.
13.
Sun Tzu
Thank you.
13. Thank you. And
Also, I was looking into the pronunciation of his name, and apparently it's Sun Tzu. Like, apparently everybody's like, everyone says it wrong. Like, so, but I think it's Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call him Susan. Susan.
I like that.
Yeah, he's Susan now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was Susan's 12 or Susan's 13, excuse me. And then Susan had all these other this other collection of works, which was him and the emperor having conversations, and those conversations were like transcribed and recorded. So Alice, if you're reading Art of War and you want more of this, there is more of this.
God, you're so right.
Did you find the
Yeah.
Devon found the pronunciation?
Yeah.
Is there a phonetic?
There are a lot of people doing phonetics that are wrong.
Sunsa, huh?
But he made you 100% right.
Well, that's interesting. Sunsa. That's cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Who?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. My bad.
I don't think so. If I was, I forgot.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that, but I'm glad you told me, because I feel like an idiot now saying Sun Tzu.
That's the only way I've ever heard anybody ever pronounce his name. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is
No, that's totally wrong.
Thank you.
Still in chapter 1, right after he talks about the constant factors, the 5 constants, he talks about how discipline, and it's so weird, man, because we're talking about ancient Chinese, so translating this into English itself is a difficult thing. But discipline
Probably required a lot of discipline.
But I guess discipline in the way we think is maybe not the way is describing it here, where discipline is your synchronicity with your commander, like your willingness to follow orders. And I suppose that is a form of discipline, right? But I guess I don't really have a problem with calling that discipline. That it is discipline. You're disciplined by your commander, but it's specifically in alignment with your commander, not just like how you have like if you learn a martial art, you have a discipline of your own. That's not really what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Neif, Hiatt, do you guys have favorite quotes from?
Man, I was just trying to look through here, remember what stuck out specifically.
There are 3 ways that a ruler can bring misfortune on his army. Number 1, by commanding the army to advance or retreat, being ignorant of the fact that it cannot obey. This is called hobbling the army. So basically giving orders that can't be followed is a fault of the commander. And I mean, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Number 2, by attempting to govern an army in the same way as he administers a kingdom. So ruling people is different from ruling soldiers, is what he's saying there. It's a different ball game. And I think that also comes back to industry. Like, what is the point of war? What are you gaining from that? He elaborates, humanity and justice are the principles on which to govern a state, but not an army. Opportunism and flexibility, on the other hand, are military rather than civil virtues to assimilate the governing of an army. Yeah. So just there's different ways to run a city than a platoon. And number 3, by employing the officers of his army without discrimination. So this is something that Machiavelli gets into, where he talks about, Machiavelli actually gets into it really in depth. There's different kinds of soldiers. Like, you have mercenaries, and you have people who are loyal to you for virtues or other reasons. And basically Machiavelli advises against ever using mercenaries for any reason, because they're fair weather. They'll be super loyal and about it until there's a battle, and then they're going to be the first ones to break, because it's this money. They're going to fight for whoever's keeping them alive, right? Whereas if you talk about Susan's army is just going to lay down their lives for him, like, because that's the what does he call that? That's the moral law between him and his army. It's really simple here, where he just says, discriminate about who you let in your forces. There's something to be said about, like, I hear it said about bands a lot. A band is only as strong as the weakest member, right? Mm-hmm. So that's true of an army. You don't want to mix in, like, yeah, inefficient with efficient.
What is the? Why can't I think of the word?
It's bad.
This is
bad is good. Bad's a good enough word.
It was bad something in the batch. A bad
apple.
Bad apple. Yeah, bad
apple.
apple.
The whole bunch. Yeah.
You don't want any bad apples.
Nope. Yeah. It's especially if
you can save the bananas though and make banana bread.
Yeah, put them in the fridge.
I believe
apples no good though.
I believe it was Susan who said, if life gives you lemons, build a catapult and launch them at your opponent. Blind them with citrus.
Blind them with citrus.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, it's in there.
Was in there?
That's
I remember attacked by fire. Citrus. I don't remember blind by citrus. That was.
Yeah, he says, if you're going to use citrus as a weapon, wait till there's a high wind and it's dry outside.
Wouldn't it be wait till there's tacos around? Like if it's citrus, I'm just imagining, with the cilantro and the onions, a little citrus.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Hold your taco up in the air and catch the droplets.
Yeah.
Like cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Yeah.
Holy manna from heaven. Oh God, it's blinding me.
Every time I think of something, I lose it.
It's because I'm distracted.
No, you brought it. You were the one who made me think of it, and then I lost it. Did we come up with favorite parts? Neif, what's your favorite part?
And I'm really not one on favorites anyway when it comes to most things. I had a pocket edition of this book so many years ago that I kept in my pocket. So I mean, it was like an instant fortune cookie that could, almost always be applicable.
Yeah, that's a good thing to keep in your pocket and just open up to a page.
Yeah.
Like,
But
if someone's getting on your nerves or like, then you're like, how can I deal with this person? And you open it up and it tells you.
exactly. Yeah. So I actually found the part I was looking for again, where he talks about musical notes and flavors. There are not more than 5 musical notes, yet the combinations of these 5 give rise to more melodies than can ever be heard. There are not more than 5 primary colors, yet in combination they produce more hues than can ever be seen. There are not more than 5 cardinal tastes. Okay. Sour, acrid, salt, sweet, and bitter.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What is acrid?
Those are the 5 cardinal flavors, according to Susan.
why,
So, okay, actually, let's break this down. Sour.
why is Susan talking about flavors?
This isn't a cookbook, Susan. Come on. But yeah, let's break this down actually. Sour, that's pretty self-explanatory. Salt is pretty self-explanatory. So is bitter. So is sweet. What is acrid?
Like, I think like
Acrid?
rotten.
Like
like-
mushrooms.
Oh,
I'm just guessing.
just earthy.
Why are we guessing?
Yeah.
We have dictionaries. And stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'd
what
love to
a
Google
very
now.
What do
specific
you
guess
think the
there.
word means?
Yeah. Yeah, Melody, we just speak just, whatever's on our mind out of absolute ignorance here. We don't fact check anything.
But,
We know. We know. We all
sour,
know.
bitter, and harsh to the taste, or
Okay.
having an unpleasant or noxious smell.
I wonder how does that differ from bitter?
Unpleasant.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of sour plus bitter.
Yeah.
Coffee is bitter. Rotten fish is probably that. Like just the immediate, like, you want to vomit taste.
Acrid.
You know what I mean? Acrid. Like, that's the sound. That's, there it is. We figured it out.
And I guess they've never heard of umami or whatever that is. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Dude, I've got
Edamame.
Yeah.
hold on. I got a whole nother one for that. Like, that's what's killing me. I got this whole thing.
Devon's breaking out the spice cabinet.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Do you have an acrid spice?
first off, this one just says it's the flavor bomb. I mean, like, hello. Like, how
Can't believe that's not one of the 5
There's your weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Sunsa.
Suunsa.
Sunsa.
Yeah.
All right, Susan, you win. I give up. Susan, it is.
Well, Alice, we went over philosophy. We went over recipes. we went over
an hour.
We went over an hour. We went over pronunciation. We've run the whole gambit. So thank you for being here, Alice. Catch us next week for more regular scheduled content. Oh, and next month we're gonna do the Phantom Toll Booth. For the
yay.
Yeah, I've never read this, but I've heard that it's a children's fantasy novel. It kind of like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as a kid.
Really? Okay, I'm excited about this. I don't know much
I did it in
about it.
4th grade.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember the details, but I remember I thought it was cool at the time.
John from Resistance House Band is the one who recommended that one, and so thanks to John. We're gonna do that in February. Forgot what month it was for a second. Hiatt, does Cassette Stress have anything coming up you want to plug? Any shows?
Yeah, so we're playing at the East Room on March 5th. That's our next one.
Hell yeah. March 5th, East Room, Alice. Any Paranova news you want to talk about, Melody?
No, because I did book club instead of recording tonight.
So delayed release is actually our fault, Alice. You
Yeah.
can't blame us.
But no, we've got a second single that's going to be coming out pretty soon, so you'll
Hell
hear that pretty soon.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that, Alice. Paranova coming soon. Yeah. Anything you guys want to plug? Neif, Devon? No?
Not yet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not yet's a good answer. All right. Well, thank you all for being here again. This has been really fun. And
Thank
we'll see
you.
you next
Thank
week,
you for
Alex.
having us.
Hell yeah.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah.